SEAK Claus Winkler, artist SEAK Claus Winkler. This video is an art performance as well as a piece of art. German freedom of speech, so we have like art freedom, which gives a little bit more leeway, but we don't really have freedom of speech. I mean, there's the absence of freedom of speech, not when you have your own opinion or you research the wrong historic facts. Let's talk about myself. In the graffiti world, I was the underdog. I mean, probably everybody is when he starts. Like we start as a toy. It's like, and then you copy and you don't know stuff and you learn. And because I painted 3D without having any tagging skills, and I wasn't much of an illegal graffiti writer. People were like, it's also a toxic world, I must say, because everybody wants to be the cool guy, blah blah blah. Then the words and the names and the paintings from each other artist is working in oneself or in the other person. Everyone is in competition. You need to respect others, which is good. Then it's an illegal world, and it was, or it is in a lot of ways. There's lots of energy, too less women, jealousy. I mean, all natural things. And this is not complaining or anything, or this is just how it is, and it's okay. And it's probably, if you would change the word graffiti and put any other subculture or group or niche of something into it, people would say, yeah, it's the same among us computer programmers, professional, this, that, people, this subculture, it's the same, So I was the underdog because people were shitting on me because I wasn't painting with outlines. I was painting in 3D. My letters were supposed to be not good looking, blah, blah, blah. I had the toy handwriting like a toy. My paintings, when I signed my paintings, it looked like someone else has painted inside, or like some children painted inside. I'm always painting the same. This stuff looks like sex toys. If you hang out with SEAK, you will find the next Waffen-SS. That's something I heard a few years ago from a friend who told me that when he was connecting with me in the beginning 2000 years for a project, and he was much younger and didn't know I had that reputation. I'm sponsored by the city of Cologne, is also a good one. I'm a snitch, yes, also, of course. Anything you can imagine. This is like the classical thing, and if you talk with other writers or artists, or a lot of them, they have similar stories to tell. Not all, but similar. It depends. And graph, I never really became ripped off because I was sporting a Luger, which is a bit crazy considering you go with this into a train yard. And police has a reason to shoot you. I mean, but for some reason that protected me also when painting trains from getting caught, because on a tribal level, I don't know if you watched the other videos, but I don't know what the overtone window is. I don't want to tell on myself, but with my opinion, I mean, I had the Southern Stars and Bars on my jacket when I was in my teens. I'm obsessed with German military or military in general. So politically, for my opinion, so there's a tribal connotation. So, and I have some sublime stories where I would say, how I perceive German military or police or stuff like that is, I'll say that. I mean, also my work, if you look, it looks, and I can't tell on myself because then the system can frame me, you know? Um, so, but for example, I'm in the CNS crew, ne? Checking new skills. You can, I promise you, just a few years ago I reckoned, wait, there's an NS in it. But I never reckoned it, you know? I think what I reckoned was there is a CS in it, and it's like Confederate States or something, you know? So it's like hidden in plain sight. So, but like, or like, there was like one time I signed a painting like with 7-4 with the Cologne, with the Cologne Dome, and then a 7-4, and because I'm born in 1974 in Cologne, but just a few years ago I learned that the 7-4 stands for Great Germany, which is supposed to be evil, you know. And I was asked by a Turkish guy, like a normal Turkish guy. And I thought he was like thinking like it was some sexual code or something. I was like, what do you want to know? I'm born. So yeah, so this is like, I don't know. So the thing is with the underdog thing, yeah, I was in the graph scene, I was the underdog, I think all the time. And then I became famous because I was that underdog and everybody was shitting on me and criticizing me and dissing me. I also worked or pretended to be degenerate or a freak, maybe because I was doing partially, I mostly went to prostitutes, I must say, professional women, stuff which the others did, and I basically paced them, you know. I was taking up their energy and transforming that into paintings and being there a little bit more honest. Also, it derives from the name Klaus, you know. It suggests like take it up and show it or something. I mean, every name has multiple interpretations. This is also was a protection thing against leftists, you know, because they are the most craziest, most emotional, most illogic, most destructive, most manipulative. So if you pretend like you are one of them, you can have the most power. Everybody is in fear of you. Not that anybody was in fear of me, I don't know, but in my mind, you know, there were situations where I pretended like I'm like a leftist, or I suggest, or like have this like degenerate streak, so people leave you alone, you know, because they are like ashamed, or they are afraid, or they don't want to deal with that. Yeah, I don't know. So what else I can say about myself or my work or my life or my past? Yeah, painting. I was already painting when I was a child, and I think the way I painted, for example, ships and sail ships, I posted a few of them on my like childhood drawings. I posted a few of them on my Telegram picture dump channel, like it's SEAK Claus Winkler. You can check it. It's nothing I mean, there's like 8 people following me, and one of them is me. These are different numbers than back in the days when I had every day, I don't know, like 50 or how many people on art crimes in the 90s on my website. But there was like hardly nobody on the internet. There I painted like all these like ships of the line I painted and I had drawn, and they have like an obsessive streak, you know, like someone who's like not really healthy, and it's like continued painting. Like for example, I painted like, I don't know, hundreds of or like lots of cannons, gun decks on my ships. And then I was counting them. I said, oh, they're counting double because they're on both sides of the ship, la-di-da-di-da. And yeah, and that was like and the obsession part was in the foreground, instead others like having like a more of like an illustrative streak in the foreground. But out of this obsession can develop nice illustrative stroke or touch or handwriting or hand drawing, how you want to call it, that you like to watch, It maybe takes a little bit longer. But for example, if you want to motivate children to develop something, just compliment the amount of effort they're putting into things. This is how you make them grow the skill. So, and at some point, the stuff starts looking good. And now I remember the name I was yesterday looking for, that artist name, which I also reckoned when I was a child, was doing these semi-beautiful, semi-ugly paintings. It's Otto Dix. And maybe artists like these inspired me, because if something just looks perfectly beautiful, I have this like one sci-fi artist in mind, John Berry, with like two E's and a Y at the end and a B in the beginning. It's like the generation before Chris Voss. Like, for example, there's like sci-fi artists which work looks so perfect that you would never think of also painting. But if stuff not just looks perfect, it also suggests you maybe on a subconscious level you can also do it. And that's the entrance. Similar to when you see a perfect graph piece, which you probably can just paint like in years then, but the surrounding isn't that perfect. It creates this appeal, I can do it too. Or when I saw those hand-painted really clumsy hand-painted tanks among the war toy, play toy connection from my school comrade friends, older brother. They had like also, they were German, but they had, Fahrgeschäft means like they have like wagons on ferries where they, on how do you call that? Like when Kirmes, it goes like once a year in a town, and there's like all kinds of like attractions. And you can eat popcorn, and you have like roller scooter, an auto scooter, and like a caterpillar, and a large wheel where people are sitting inside, and you can shoot on things and with an air gun, a BB gun, and then you get you can have like a prize or something. And his family had like something like that, and they had like. Like when you have like a seating corner, like say in a hobby room or in somewhere, and then like under the bank, where people sit on, is like a large box, and they had like boxes of these full just with military toys and models from all kinds of styles and aesthetics, or like also really good stuff. And among them were like play toys, war play toys, but they were like, you could see someone is the first time painting on them, and that was probably his older brother, and the reason why he did that probably was because he had so many tanks. I mean, they had like I would say, I can't describe it. If you have like an American pickup truck, and the back part of that, with the loading area on the backside of the truck, you probably almost full to the brim, at least half of it, with military play toys and models and stuff like that. Plus, I think the parents also had, but I don't know about that, World War II plane models in the living room. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. And because of that richness of like play toys, he was like confident enough to at some point then started painting on them. because it's like it's you get like there was like no outcome dependence because he had enough tank models, so he could easily be like playing with them and starting let his creativity go. So and this I remember this moment and this thought I had, and it was like a hunch, but a hunch where I can still remember it. And now I'm like 51, and back then I was, how old was I? I was maybe between 9 and no, like 10 and 12, 13, something like that. There's like moments where you can remember for some reason, it's so yeah. I was also in the school always. I felt like the outsider and the underdog. I mean, this comes along with maybe also the word Klaus, because there was this one Turkish guy who was much older, who was effing me up. Nobody helped me, and everybody was happy that I'm the one getting all the negative energy. I'm talking now here, so my account stays alive. But I asked Odin, because back then I knew Odin, and with puberty I painted also comics referring to Odin. Yeah, and then another friend told me this Turkish guy and his family was taken by a truck on the way from holiday or to holidays on the autobahn, and that pattern that started a pattern was where something that then later also like there were like a few people like doing me harm, like really bad stuff. Well, Odin worked again, and then again when I already had it forgotten, came up to me and said, "Hey, did you heard? You know what happened to him or to?" I don't want to go into the details. There were like few people, and I'm jumping now back to my childhood again. Like long before, I remember when my parents were concerned, like why don't you like defend yourself when you are attacked? And I told them, well, because then I hurt the other children. That was my thinking. You can interpret it as a wussy or as noble or something, but maybe back then, I mean, in that age, I didn't know about Odin, because I probably first time reckoned Odin was at a Was ist was Buch, which is like a child series with books, and I had a book about the Vikings. And they were like, because I have also a Lithuanian heritage, as well as English, and the English also from the Vikings in parts. So, yeah, I mean, in hindsight, maybe I already had reckoned that I don't have to do anything, because there's another power taking care of business. And that goes much beyond my capabilities. And then it kind of proved itself, because maybe I reckoned already a pattern, like it can be like on a small scale. For example, maybe I reckoned a pattern, like, okay, I'm doing something, or I'm just being me, or maybe I'm also projecting jealousy, or maybe, it doesn't mean like I'm like just a lamp, Anyway, someone else then attacks me for that. And, it can be something little, and then maybe I had reckoned that after a while there is a karmic energy, and then this person gets it much better than I can do something. This could be interpreted into that, considering the pattern which then years later on a grander scale happened. Plus, maybe I just wanted to be left alone. I mean, also you want to have friends, of course. And we had like fun, and we played then later all kinds of in nature war games and anything. Let's be like it's fun. So I felt like the underdog. I mean, this had nothing to do with being an underdog, but it's like I felt like alone and an underdog. Um, and yeah, and painting is yeah. Uh, Also, I felt like unpleasant or unloved or unappreciated. Because I also had a sense for social hierarchy and stuff like that. And when people bully you or don't treat you with respect or anything. I mean, but I also was lazy. I could have like maybe worked out more and do more sports and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm talking about like school time. So I felt like always like as the outsider in a way, while having an yeah a very strong or not strong. That's the word wrong inside. A very natural, intense sense for Germany or being German. This is also fed from history and from our national thinking, from being from East Prussia, from my family, from knowing about history and culture and appreciating that. And also like looking into history books, I mean, and researching on my own. I mean, with the books I had, for example, the book Unter Jahrhundert in Bild, like Our 10th Recent Picture, which is printed in 1970, so under American re-education, stuff like that. My concern was in my teens that other teens and other young people in my age, they don't recognize or see the beauty and the aesthetics and what we all achieved in World War II, like also from the vehicles and from everything, all the history and stuff like that. And that pissed me off in a way a little bit. I mean, there were like lots of things. And I was concerned, and I thought like there's no medium for that, because and computer games back then came then a little bit later. In Amiga with Amiga 500, that was like 2-3 years later, and there it was still wasn't that much. Plus, I was like pissed that like all the cool weapons, stylish weapons, and cool pictures and interesting pictures from World War II, where we were showed or what we did. I mean this in a positive way. Don't get it the wrong thing. There was nothing. It was like kind of like they take all the good stuff away in those like official mainstream standards bookshops or books and stuff like that. And I felt then pretty rebellious, almost like a revoluzzer when I like found and discovered Motorbuch Verlag, which were like more like about technical books, like evil, trying to shame people, da-di-da. Anyways, I was trying to talk about rebellious. Yeah, like this like rebellion thing. Being rebellious as an artist, being the underdog. I mean, it also goes like the society was treating like everybody as an underdog who comes from the grass world, and trying to belittle you, shame you for all kinds of different reasons. Then you have also the scene itself. Yeah, but this is how you. I kept on doing my thing, That's the East Prussian. East Prussians are stubborn. Let's take this here to the. I'm walking you through the. East Prussians are stubborn, so they So I kept on doing what I wanted to do, and I kind of didn't cared about, For example, my father built me like a light in my headlight in my sleeping room, in my childhood room where I slept. But he wasn't, so I don't ruin my eyes, which are kind of ruined now. But I think that comes from, because my parents or father, they all have like thick glasses. My grandparents. So, and then I kept on reading deep in the night, and he was like pissed about that. I mean, like a father is pissed that his son is reading too much. Yeah, but because he wanted me to be, that I have concentration and everything in school, and to be following the education and not dreaming there around. But I didn't give a shit about what they said in school. So super boring and not interesting me. And I rather read what I wanted to read. And then he was like freaking out and destroying the lamp at some point again. So I think that I used something else as a light, because he was like, so that's like, I took education into my own hands without knowing that the slop they cater you in European or German schools or in Western schools is all anti-white, and if you will, if you think it's true, Zionist propaganda. And this stance is for me also new in this clarity, because if you would ask me, if the SEAK Claus Winkler from today would go into 4 years into the past, he would be surprised. The Claus Winkler from 4 years ago would be surprised about my opinion I'm having now. So this is part of waking up. There are literally levels to this shit. Yes, so so I was reading like a lot. I was like reading through the like rental library in my school, which was on the area of where my school was. And I was then, after that, I was going with a bicycle every few weeks to the rental library in the other village, which is like 1.5, 2 miles away, to rent books there, and read them. In German, you say Leseratte, means like a rat, which is like eating books. And my parents were always concerned, like everybody was concerned about me, because I was obsessed with history, with war, with maritime, sailing, age of sail, and with war and military history. Defending the fatherland, Europe, everything, I mean, like, I literally, like, took up the problem we have and everything, and the energy and everything. My parents were a silent generation, the generation before the boomers, but living in a boomer world. So you could say I was a normal child. And I'm basically painting my own world. It's escapism, while trying to, this is a small a, but it also has the basic form from a Sovelo, from a Sieg rune, and yes, I was trying to become an electrician, It's like all these like jokes and stuff like that. And I could make a full video on that, because my father was, before they've had the flat from East Prussia, because it was 7 years, he was envious and sad that he couldn't join the Jungvolk, which is like the pre-organization of the Hitler Youth, like the Pimpfe, which like the little small kids. They already had like a uniform, a black trouser and a knife and everything, and a shirt, and cool uniform, stylish uniform. Yeah, and he was too small for that, not like from age. And then later the walk and the the Russian front came, the Soviet front came, and they had to flee. So he was too young for that. And they had like also a large power electricity, like from strong or from powerful, from high voltage electricity, like 360 kilovolts to like normal volts, like for houses. They had a tower like that on the side where the street from this main street to my family's farm was, and was also like a bolt on it, which is like the bolt which inspired Walter Heck on the other side of Germany, here in the area where I'm living now, to come up with the two bolts for the Black Order, for the now forbidden German elite fighters, So I'm just using here not euphemisms, but like I don't want to say all the time certain words. Anyway, and my father then became an electrician after years later, when he was, first they had to, they were refugees and with a horse carriage for 5 months. Every day aircraft dive bombing from Soviets and laughing pilots shooting down their track neighbors and stuff like that. Some nice memories, all ingrained in my DNA. And then when he was like 7 years old, and he later became like an electrician to become an engineer. So basically he kind of like joined followed the symbol, and I took and I also then almost became an energy electrician, but I was then already too deep into painting. And I remember in the first year or something, because I took that up as an escapism, plus as maybe I followed some hunches. And then I painted again, I must say. And then after like 1.5 years working there, I came to the power plant. It was the same power plant my grandfather from my mother's side was in World War II anti-aircraft leader. You also have an awards here from him, as well as the leader of the apprenticeship, like teaching others to become mechanics and electricians, and he was an engineer of the power plant. So there's rich history. I came into the work, and they were like one of the masters of the trainers had like printed a newspaper article about me and another friend who painted like a large mural here in Cologne, like a graph mural for a company. And I was like, so there all those people then reckoned then what I was up to, It was like a full page. And the guy who hired us to paint, or like to ask us to paint his wall, and we became like money and spray cans and everything, It was like a large mural. And back then, it was the second largest mural in Cologne from spray cans, or from that scene. He was, I think, a Stuka pilot in World War II. There you go. And I was like, no, I don't want to paint. I want to talk with you. Tell me. Yeah. So, and on that mural we also did like a roll call and honored all the other graph writers which were back then up, and all the crews who were was worth mentioning or needed to get respect and stuff like that, because just to show respect. I mean, but graffiti and stuff is a substitute, Now the times are bad enough. We have to focus our energy on what's good for our people. That's the main thing. And when I was a child, when I was 8 years old, I was shocked that the German conservatives promised things, but then did the very opposite. I mean, they were lying, they're still lying. That's how they all do. They pretend like they're right wing, then they're left wing, and because their job is it to fulfill the clergy plan here in Germany or in Europe. That's why they're also Christians, and that's why the system after 1945 allowed them to be. That's why they created this party. It's all known. I did a video about how they debunked their name, how it works in the subconscious mind, and how it triggers people to be anti-white and be left-wing, while pretending they're very different. It's like a trap for the boomers. And I thought it was like the adult, the normal, the people with sense, because I thought I didn't know the name conservative or maybe conservative, I don't want to even use the name of that party. But I reckoned that with 8 years that they didn't uphold what they were promised. And I reckoned that was 8 years old. That was in 1983 or 84. It was that election they had. Yeah. And then the adults told me, times first must become more bad till people wake up. Yeah. So, and then, now the times are bad enough. And I hope I could attract with my art enough bad people into Europe, because they couldn't stop it anyway. So at least those who make less children, and those who are like super, super. I can't say words here, because then, but how they behave, it's good, because then it forces everybody to get a sense for reality and how humans are and become realists. And then act upon it, and then we can drive the pendulum in the other direction. Because this is like the ambivalence of the word seek, I mean, you can, but the whole like left-right thing is already diversion and splitting people, But this is like part of their plan. I want to talk about art here, being a rebel. And herd thinking is very dangerous, because you adapt the opinion of the herd, of the group, and then they kind of like wear you down. Like women, you do. They build their networks, and then they play like triangulation with you, with other women, and then they program you, and try to F you up. Without you knowing, at the end of the day, you think your thoughts are your own thoughts. I mean, just when I would throw my painter knowledge I have now because of colors and stuff into the this is saying, when I would contribute that or share that, it's crazy how you can just with colors manipulate and steer people's thoughts, and they think it's their own thoughts. And I just know just a lot, but it's very few to what I know. And then you're not even into like words and psychology and how even paintings which makes you powerful or give you energy are steering you, or vice versa, and how that affects. And this is also a miracle for me. So I maybe appear like I know what I'm doing, but I don't. Oftentimes I don't. And admitting that, and then it's still a learning process every day. Yeah, it's also so what else should I talk about? I don't know. I should talk about, I could also speak everything here in German, but then less people would understand me. So I'm speaking it in English. I did also videos talking in German. You can use the Google Translation function to understand what I was saying there. Yeah. Interesting, for example, is that when we were children, and I don't know if it was kindergarten or or elementary school, I remember we were like children, and there was a woman or a young girl, or the girl was like puberty, or an adult girl, woman, or a girl which was the same age as us. And I remember that it was about like if she wants to have children, and we already reckoned, because I know my thought process, and that's crazy, that with women you can't work with logical sense, because they just think about themselves. You must steer their emotions. There's no logic and reason. They are also degenerated from the system, from the leftist system. I mean, so, and the topic was if she should have children or not. And then I argumented or said, yeah, those with children are the happy. They are the happy. They are those women are happy. Die glücklich sind. To manipulate her in a positive way for her own good, that she has children. And interesting is that with that young age, I was already, or we were already that smart, and also in a positive way manipulative. But that doesn't mean that people can shit in your brain with everyday propaganda, and then decades later you also have fallen for certain things. That's like really powerful, and I'm not even having a television, you know. And I had like here, like a how do you call that, regal? You know, where it's like you have like bookshelf and everything. And I have like military award books about Freikorps awards and uniforms. I don't know where that book is. Dragon model, World War II, German figures, tanks, military awards from my family, from others, all kinds of stuff. Obsessed with military history. It doesn't mean you can reprogram people or f them up. So it's crazy, but you can also get them out of that also. Like a lot of those liberals are also passive aggressive because they hate the fact that the system is against them, and we are like cucked and fucked up everywhere. So they are on a destructive path to educate the others, you know. While they could themselves maybe then take any action up, but they don't. The numbers were too small in the 90s and stuff like that. That's the these paintings, they are, I have material to keep on growing and learning in case I feel like I'm too good or this or that. I can take one of these paintings and start with one other technique, continue working and painting and trying something and playing and getting more optima, learn by doing, as we say, and can listen to an audiobook or to something. My life since 2 years is literally like Telegram, YouTube, like my social life, Telegram, YouTube. The website from HT, watching his streams. There's also another website with streams, a new one with a number of the alphabet, which appears 2 times, and then the word streams. But HT is by far so funny and entertaining. Anyway, then YouTube. And before that, of course, I was also on Instagram, but I was awakening since 4 years ago through Martin Sellner, and to how they shaped me on Facebook for posting something with Auspice Prussia from people I knew, and it was like so ridiculous, like fucking crazy. That's like the leftist anti-white bubble. They're all then showing their faces. Anyway, so before that, I was very much into red pill. My horizon was everything like manosphere red pill. And before that, I wasn't. There was a time where it was like, then say going a few years back, I wasn't really consuming. I started red pill consuming in 2016. Before that, I had like a few years not consuming pickup art stuff because it was already so mainstream, and I was consuming other stuff online. And that was, yeah. Yeah, the main thing for me is always like efficiency with painting. Being as efficient as possible. So that everything makes sense. And keep on painting those my styles, and trying new techniques, and then my surrounding, my people I'm friends with, they force me into having a hike, being in nature, or sometimes spending time in nicer, beautiful, less industrial areas, or less suburbia, more European German areas. It's crazy how unfree the people becoming. I could just free myself mentally and turning to awake and to interest myself into for history again, deeper history, and I'm not talking about the victors written history. Even though I knew the word victor's truth, Siegerwahrheit, when I was a child, but I have no idea how deep that goes and how crazy that is. And I believe that nonsense. A lot of the stuff I believe, that's so crazy, and with the framing and everything, how it's really happening and the context, it's nuts. But you have to feed people that step by step, otherwise it's called on the fence sitter. They fall back into the old direction because they're afraid, because it's overwhelming them, and they, it can't be. Es kann nicht sein, was nicht sein darf. It can't be true what isn't allowed to be true, or what is forbidden to be true. So, but it's different approaches. I mean, that's also the good thing when you. I reckoned at some point that people are not buying my art. I don't get hired, and that was while I was still asleep, or pretending to be like the system, someone from the system, or pretending to be neutral in terms of voting and election and stuff like that, and also like not interested in politics. I must also say, there was no one was buying. There's very few people supporting me as an artist. Nothing, from nobody. And also nobody buying me or hiring me, very few. I could have painted more walls which appeared to mainstream aesthetics to then finance myself. But there wasn't nothing, and I focused on canvases and took and not on painting on walls, which then, which is a good thing, because then there's no strings attached, you know, there's the system, how does one a system wants to seduce me? Plus I understand the context of what's happening. They are ruining, I mean, that they make us go extinct. It's not just giving up continents, it's also like wiping us, like it's like DNA, gone, or forever ruined, and then the brain and the IQ and everything and the whole thing. I'm just catering here, I'm talking here with a sock in my mouth, as you know. This is like, I would talk much more easy, much more clearer, you know. This is, so if you have to see everything in that context, and I probably saw that also as a child, or when I was a child. So but I also have to be careful when I come to fast conclusions, because oftentimes, for example, I'm with Sylvia in downtown Cologne at the opera, and I'm complaining about something, let's say Zionist, and I was like, oh, this is like part of the system, the opera, la da 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 da, and I was like really pissed, and I'm trying to like awake the people working there. They're like boomers. And then I reckoned the composer, they were promoting there, or for the concert, it was like Mussorgsky. And then at home, for some reason, I reckoned the name again, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, what was his opinion? Oh, he was awake to the behavior of certain people. Wow. And then I was like, wait a minute, were these people there working also awake? Is this like a conscious signal, like someone in the system is trying to signal, hey, hello, within the means we have, we trying to give you a hint, you know? So which drives me to the conclusion, sometimes I get the positive signal in my face, or not in my face, I'm getting the positive signal, but I don't reckon it as such. I still think this is like the enemy, or this is like the other opinion and stuff like that. While sometimes I must digest it, you know. It's like I'm shooting too fast, you know. It's like Lucky Luke, you know. He shoots faster than his shadow and stuff like that. So this is this comes with my name, you know. Like for example, yesterday that guy, I was talking, I was programming myself. Like yeah. When people who doesn't want to hear the truth, they sure must fall harder. And then a few minutes later, a jogger comes on the way, and he falls apart. He falls himself down on the earth and hurts him till he bleeds. And then one doesn't want to hear what I have to say to him in terms of waking up. And then I realized, crazy, like I programmed the universe with that. It's like that. It's like, it was just a little bit too early, or up front. It was the opposite way around. And that it makes me aware that we can load up ourselves with certain movies or programmings or little scripts or large scripts, and then we project that into the universe, and then the universe fulfills on that. And I don't know if that's predictive programming. I said that yesterday. So this is basically a small e, and this is a small a. And here I painted the yellow outline, or it painted like positive, negative, extra, the wrong way. And then this is a small a. This is an S. You have also a K here, which is nice. Here's a K. See, with the K, I'm a little bit greedy. I should focus. Yeah, here's a K. And small Ks. You see, I'm having like the spit. So it's like, it's when there was always my eyes were wrecking someone jogging by outside. So I'm like really like on the frequency of letters and signal, and I digest any signal, and it always ends up in bodily reactions, in my body, or on all kinds of levels, food, sex, interpretation, anything, It's like, in a way, yeah, my work or my art or my name amplifies a certain trigger happy, In German we say zucken, it's like this, It's like zucken. I don't know the English word for that. And that triggers the word SEAK Claus Winkler, every signal. So it's, yeah, maybe that's the reason then in the end why people buy my work. I don't know. There's like so many reasons on the sublime energy why people do something or do not something. Maybe I should dig into that level, because then it gets really interesting. And it's a totally different perspective. So now we have, I would say, almost an hour. Let's see if we can get this here. Yeah, interesting thoughts I'm having right now. My father told me a story when they were fleeing from East Prussia. They were on a gut. Gut is like a large farm, usually with a night background, where like lots of animals were, and like an XXXXL farmer. Farmer doesn't hit it. It's also almost like royalty or something. And then the soldiers, because my grandmother had like little children with her, as well as a Polish and a young Polish woman helping to carry the horses, and a Polish helper, and like my great-grandfather was there also. And so the soldiers rearranged the horses in the stable. It was like Wehrmacht horses, so that the horses were standing other way around. So if they were pissing, I think they were male horses, something. They were pissing in the other direction, and not where they were laying and sleeping, because they were sleeping on the wall, because it was like super cold. It was like 1944, or it was already 1945. I don't know. And I think this element, which is also like a signal for joy, is it kind of is like that. It's like the horse pissing, It's like there's all kinds of subliminal levels. And why is my father telling me that story? Maybe because he read that painting out of me without seeing this painting ever. I don't know. I didn't think I showed him this painting. Never really interested in my work. At least I don't know. This is also interesting how that nobody in my family or in my surrounding, not even my ex-girlfriend, nobody is interested in my work. I mean, the superficiality, is that the word, is crazy. I mean, I know in museums people look a second on a painting, but there's, on the other hand, if people are too enthusiastic about my work, so I'm not used to having compliments or respect for my work, or people telling me something positive. I'm really not used to that. And I had a few days ago here a situation where it's like with a couple, and it's crazy how positive they spoke about me, my art and new things, and I was like putting it into context, and I was like, wow. I mean, I felt like, okay, I humble myself, yeah. So, but myself, I'm living in a reality, and it's, yeah. Also, I have another friend, but he's a leftist, super wealthy leftist. He inherited probably, I don't know. I'm just counting now. 20 million, 15 million, something like that, or he will inherit. But this comes also with strings attached. So yeah, it's not that. Yeah. Anyways, and then he was like, I'm trying to wake him up, but maybe he's already woken up, but doesn't want to admit it out of fear for other reasons. And then he was like making me great. You're a great artist. And I was like, well, he's trying to manipulate me, la di da di da. He's trying to do this, get my ego high and stuff like that. So it's like, it means there's no way of doing it right, talking small, talking large. I don't know. I'm having headaches now. Maybe I should drink more. Anyway, so, I mean, I don't know if I like this painting because of the DU, because there's like a large party who's effing up Germany. So but hey, it is like art. When at some level, when it gets more complex, it has a certain depth. For example, there in the corner is like this tree, and like I said, I wasn't following the politics or what's anything. I mean, I started doing this maybe 4 years ago, and this is like I painted this three things, the symbol there. When was that? I don't know, 10 years ago or something. So, and I would say starting 8 years ago or 5-6 years ago, I started thinking, oh, wait a minute, that looks like der dritte Weg, because then I heard something about a right-wing party, I was like, is that good? I don't know, like a bad thinking about it, like almost like a little guilt cuck, BRD system thinking, So, yeah, interesting. When I realized this black DU, it means you, and then this thing, that I did that 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. And then I realized then, oh fuck, now it has this CDU context, which is like conservatives, blah, blah, blah. But hey, it can have if you don't see it as propaganda or anything, I just saw something can't say here on the phone, another one. This is becomes less and less Europe here. And they're smiling and are happy about it. Especially because they can understand the context of what I'm doing here with the house, trying to wake up the boomers, and then knowing how the boomers are and how the normies here are, and enjoying their success. Or maybe thinking, hey, I was like, what wussies, they're painting their houses, they should do something else. It's like how low the Europeans became. You can see it also in this level, Anyway, the point is that paintings can also, if they reach a certain complexity level, they have like a totally different way of interpreting or working, I don't know. and it's part of reflection. It's not self-propaganda. I mean, this, I would say this painting is not self-propaganda or me, or ego porn or something. Even though it says the word ich, and it's like, oh, me, la-di-da-di-da, and it was intended to be like that. Just wanted to have different versions of ego porn in a way. But yeah, it's... plus it becomes then an interesting painting from a painting perspective, with all the different techniques and aesthetics inside, and that it has grown from 2010, it's like 16 years. So yeah, this is also an acceptance that paintings can also be ugly if they are technically interesting and complex painted. I mean, and have intelligent nuances. Well, so let's make another video and see you in the next video. Feel free to support me. Don't do that anyway. I know it's all good. That's how I'm used to it. So it's like a nice tugboat, transporter, freight ship like functional Sonder vehicle, special vehicle thing, like those, or ships who can sink and turn around and do things like have like specific functions. Like not the opposite of boring, you know. So see you later.